Oh no, we don't have a script. What do we do? Ah!
I'm Hunter Markham, aka The Fallout Boy, and you're listening to Gritty Reboot.
What an interesting new catchphrase we have. I'm Kevin James, nickname pending.
Coming to you live from deep down in the back streets in the heart of Medina, about to set up something more deep than a misdemeanor with Kevin James and Sarah Dunaway. How are you guys doing?
Great.
Are you Kevin James or Sarah Dunaway?
I can't remember.
That's the kind of day we're having.
Been a long day for you guys, hasn't it?
It wasn't too bad for me. Sarah had a lot of work, though.
But we're here to celebrate the fact that we're pulling the plug on Riverdale forever and ever.
Yes.
Finally.
We probably watched, roughly 23 more episodes than anyone should, but,
We only watched 22 episodes!
Really? Then I stand by my statement.
Because I think the last one we did was season 3, episode 9. So 9, and there was 13 in the first season, so we watched 22. So yes, you're right. 23 more than should exist. Yeah, the last episode we watched, Archie gets mauled by a bear and is left for dead. But since it's episode 9 of a 22-episode season, we're pretty sure Archie lives to fight another day. I wanted to talk about why we decided to pull the plug on this show. So, you guys' perspective. Sarah, it seemed like you were super frustrated, so I'd love to hear what you have to say.
Wow. It's hard to know where to start with that question.
You can read her thesis online.
So I think the thing that got really frustrating about Riverdale is that there was nothing cohesive about the show in any way, and there was nothing that hung together or paid off ever. And that just started to feel like we weren't even really watching a television show. We were just watching a series of vignettes about the same people. like a weird short story collection.
All right, this is going to be the nerdiest thing I've ever said on the podcast, or ever will probably.
Wow.
But do you guys know the anime Tenchi?
Never even heard of it.
So it's this harem anime centered around this teen boy and all the hot women who want to be with him. So, anime.
Tenshi Muyo or whatever it was called?
Yes, that was one of them.
Okay,
So what
I've
that
heard of
anime does is one season is one storyline, and then the next season they reboot the storyline completely. So that's the closest comparison I have to Riverdale, except they were doing it every few episodes.
Those are both really good, well thought out reasons. I think for me, my reason was just we weren't having fun anymore. I think it was pretty obvious we were just getting angry, and we do this because it's fun, and it's not going to be fun for us or anyone listening if we hate what the heck we're slogging through, and Riverdale had become a slog.
My pet theory is that Riverdale has always been such nonsense, but I think our ability to cope with nonsense has just diminished with all of the real world nonsense that's happening around COVID right now. I think we're just not at a point where we can handle that both in our real lives and on the show, and we need something a little more either completely disconnected from reality that's just gonna confuse and delight us in a good way, or something so much more grounded than the nonsense we are dealing with.
Yes. I have 2 things on our agenda that I'm making up as we go. One is getting closure on Riverdale and all of its storylines, which I have something for. And the other is rant and kind of saying, this is how Riverdale could have been not super shitty. Which would you guys like to do first?
I want closure.
Closure, yeah.
Yes. So since we're bailing on Riverdale mid-season, and we were never going to do season 4, and it's been greenlit for a season 5, which we were never going to be able to last to, not in a million years.
No.
I decided that we should get closure on the storylines that were pending, if that's even possible, and I put together a fun quiz for you guys.
Woo! Wow, the audience is not enthused.
The audience will be enthused when I put that in post. The audience will
Certain
be
enthusiasm here.
So I have a brief-ish quiz, It's all multiple choice or true false questions.
False.
That was my first question is Riverdale worth watching? You answered correctly on that one. But so one of the storylines we were following was who the fuck is the Gargoyle King? What is the Gargoyle King? So first question, who is the Gargoyle King, with multiple choice answers of A, Hiram Lodge, B, the Gargoyle King is a supernatural being, C, it's a very tall character named Tallboy, and D, the Gargoyle King is Edgar Evernever.
Oh man, what do you think? It's not B, and I think A makes too much sense.
Okay, I feel like I want it to be D, but I feel like I'm gonna be disappointed and it will be A. I would love for it to be C.
I'm gonna go with D.
All right, final answer from Kevin is D. Sarah, what's your final answer?
I'll go with A.
All right, answer is C. Gargoyle King is actually a tall guy named Tallboy, who
I
apparently
almost went for that. Oh my god.
who apparently was a character in season 2 who was like a serpent that got kicked out of the gang. I was so angry when I found this out.
I just thought of, okay, have you ever played the game Dishonored?
Yes, love that game.
There are enemies called Tall Boys, so that's all I could picture, and I was like, that doesn't seem right.
The guys that are like running around on stilts and shoot fire at you. Yes, amazing game. Better than this show deserved.
Yes.
So Gargoyle King was just some dude, which then when we look back at all the things that you brought up, Kevin, where Gargoyle King was in the hospital, there was that elevator ride. Gargoyle King sneaking into the Cooper home. Everywhere he showed up, it was some guy somehow in this suit. So it was completely stupid.
But wait, how was it always Tallboy? Because I am assuming Tallboy is a boy, and we know the Gargoyle King was around like 30 years ago.
You know what? I didn't look into who the original Gargoyle King was. There are some other questions related to that.
Tall Boy Senior.
Yes. So this is Tallboy in the current Riverdale timeline. So there's still gaps in our knowledge. Question 2. We had seizures going on at Riverdale High. Kids were having seizures all over the place. What caused these? A. Fizzle Rock drug manufacturing runoff contaminated the town's water supply. B. Evelyn has seizure-giving superpowers. C. Seizure-causing drugs were introduced into the school lunches in order to create the crisis and give Evelyn a way to recruit people to the farm. And D. The restless spirit of Principal Featherhead was roused by a new gang of G&G and was wreaking havoc and causing seizures. And Betty, Jughead, and Fangs have to put it to rest via seance at the end of the season.
As much as I want it to be D, I feel like it's A.
I'll go with C.
All right, Kevin, you were right. It was drug manufacturing runoff contaminating the town's water supply, which I guess the town's water supply goes just directly to the high school and nowhere else.
Yeah,
Apparently.
I keep trying to be way too logical with this.
You need to let logic go. In fact, you need to be what's the least logical while still not being supernatural.
Yes. Okay.
It's also strange and never explained that the seizures were only ever experienced by female characters in the show, which I didn't even think of until I saw someone else bring that up online, but they never actually touch on that in Riverdale and tell us why.
That is weird.
It's our delicate lady systems, obviously.
Riverdale is something else. Question 3, because we know how Riverdale casts people, they have to have once been a star. Edgar Evernever is played by A. Chad Michael Murray, B. Sean William
please
Scott,
let that be true.
C. Mark Paul Gosselaar, or D. Breckin Meyer.
Who was B?
Sean William Scott.
I'm gonna go with A because that's what I want, but I don't know who the other three are, and I feel like one of them's probably more likely.
I'm gonna go with D.
It is A again. Chad Michael Murray is Edgar Evernever.
No way!
Just talking about Breckin Meyer, so that's how he ended up on the list. And everyone else, I just chose actors that have 3 names. Because I don't know who Chad Michael Murray is. I've just heard the name. I couldn't pick him out of a police lineup.
He's not worth anything, but he was a big deal in the early 2000s.
He was the 9th best character on the first season of Gilmore Girls, I'll have you know.
He's on the first season of Gilmore Girls, and then he's on One Tree Hill, which is a terrible television show.
Never seen One Tree Hill, but that opens my eyes.
Do it.
Question 4. The floating babies from season 3, episode 1, where the babies float over the fire, was caused by A, magic, B, an intricate series of wires and pulleys, C, the babies are Kryptonians, or D, it's never explained.
D.
You were both right. They never explained the fact that Betty just saw 2 infants float above flames.
Why would you need to explain that?
Yeah, that's just a commonplace occurrence.
Baby stuff.
Next one's a true-false, so you've got a 50-50 chance. This is Jughead's mom and a not dead Penny Peabody have a ninja fight using size, like Raphael Ninja Turtle size.
True?
True.
Yeah, you guys are both correct. That happens on the show.
I thought you would throw one of these in, like, just to try and confuse, like, no, this is too weird. But then I was like, let's just trust it, I guess.
You guys are really believing in this. I thought that the site I was reading was lying to me, so I had to look up video, and it's some sort of formalized duel where they just use ninja weapons.
Like all New York petty thief guilds, they are, of course, trained in the ancient ninja arts. That's what I learned from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
This one's a little bit of a departure, but I think you'll appreciate it. Robin Givens, who plays Mayor McCoy / Attorney McCoy, which of the following facts about her is true? A, she married and subsequently divorced champion boxer Mike Tyson. B, she posed nude for Playboy. Or C, she appeared in the Christian film God's Not Dead 2.
A.
C.
Answer is all of those things.
Yay,
I
we
kind
all
of
got
thought
it
that might be
right.
true. Okay.
I love that her...
Was the Playboy posing to promote God's Not Dead too?
I think the Playboy posing came first, but I love that her career has gone from like Playboy posing to married to Mike Tyson. There's some other stuff about how she briefly dated Eddie Murphy and Michael Jordan, presumably not at the same time. But this woman's had a life, and I don't know why I didn't know about any of this before.
This is all so eye-opening.
Next question. You're on the back half of this.
Woo!
Evelyn is actually a nun from a different convent sent undercover to infiltrate the connection between the Sisters of Quiet Mercy and the farm. True or false?
True.
True?
That is false. She's
Ah.
not a nun, but she is actually 26 and is actually Edgar Evernever's wife.
Oh, well that's even crazier.
How old is Edgar? Never.
I don't know, however old Chad Michael Murray is.
Oh. He does like younger women.
This seems to be a trend. This is like Milo
Yeah.
Ventimiglia all over again.
Oh, completely.
So, question 8. Which of these characters does Archie hook up with in a future episode?
Yes.
A. Moose's ex, Midge. B. Josie. C. Tony. D. All of the above.
D.
Yeah, I gave my answer before all the above.
The answer is B. Josie.
Aw.
Which she's slumming it at that point.
All right,
Oh,
so
God,
so
yeah.
I did like I was going to do the same thing as you, Hunter, but luckily we communicated before I had gotten too far in the research. So the one thing I did learn about this season is that Josie leaves town at the end of it. Is Archie the reason Josie leaves?
I did not find that out. I got too wrapped up in some of the other things that tie into the next two questions. True, false. Fangs and Kevin have their organs harvested at the farm. True or false?
False, it's gonna be somewhere other than the farm.
True.
The answer is true.
Aw.
Fangs and Kevin have their organs harvested, which I guess is a beautiful moment. Betty almost does, but Alice helps her escape in some strange twist.
Man, Alice being a mother, that is the strangest twist.
So the farm is actually some sort of weird organ harvesting cult thing.
Huh.
Sure, of course.
Which, Yeah, who knows? And final question. Which of the following is true? A. Moose and Kevin both apply to Yale in season 4, but Moose sabotages Kevin's application because he's secretly begun a romance with Fangs and wants a way to get away from Kevin. B. Baby Teeth is killed by the Gargoyle King, and a single baby tooth is discovered at the scene of the crime as a message. C. Tony and Cheryl break up when Cheryl discovers Tony is informing Hiram Lodge about the activities of their new gang, the Pretty Poisons. And D. All of the above.
D.
Yeah, I gotta go D.
Answer is B. Baby Teeth is killed by the Gargoyle King, and a baby tooth is left as a message.
Damn. I feel like I got no closure, but I'm happy we avoided all of these train wrecks.
It's just so telling that we went for all of the above every time we could and got answers wrong when we didn't have that option, because that's how this show feels. It's like, I don't know. Anything could happen.
It really is, because I was reading these things and it's so hard going through synopses for these episodes because you can see where storylines just go in little loops and then die and go nowhere, which is... Like, I was getting so upset that the first morning that I looked at show synopses, it kind of wrecked my day. Because I was like, this is so fucking stupid. I'm glad I'm never watching this show again.
Yep.
That
Me
sounds
too.
right. All right, so what is the next thing on the agenda, Hunter?
Next thing on the agenda is anything you have to rant about Riverdale, and more like, how would you fix Riverdale, Kevin?
Fix Riverdale? Like,
If
you
were
would fix
running
the
it.
dog, perhaps?
If you were running Riverdale and let's say they handed you the reins after season 1, which was not good, but what would you do to this show to unfuck it?
I think the easiest way is just, like, really strip the show down to just, like, Jughead and Betty, and then maybe follow them as, like, a crime-solving duo, going, like, episodic mystery solvers.
That sounds way better. I've been rewatching Scrubs because of the Zach Braff and Donald Faison podcast, Fake Doctors, Real Friends, which is awesome and talks all about Scrubs. And I realized that that show packs so much story into half the runtime of Riverdale. And I honestly, from the last few episodes of Riverdale, noticed scenes where they just had lingering shots and a bunch of bullshit, or they were just padding time. I don't think Riverdale deserves to be an hour-long drama, 42-minute runtime. It should be a half-hour show. It should have always been a half-hour show. And that would have maybe kept it slightly more on the rails with fewer tangents and keeping side characters as just people who pop in and out, and we don't have arcs involving them.
That sounds like a good idea.
I don't think you can fix this show post season 1. I think it ultimately starts with bad casting. Like, I think you have to go back and cast Veronica and Archie as different people.
That's a really good point.
And I think if you cast them as good actors and then write more into their character because they're good actors, then, or they're right for the part, whatever we want to say diplomatically.
We're past that point.
Now, then you can really have something. Like, I think we've talked about before that I feel like if you made Veronica more of like a Blair from Gossip Girls type, where she's like rich but like deeply insecure and really flawed and bitchy but like really interesting and a good person deep down, like now you have something to work with. And I don't know how you fix Archie. You have to, like, it has to be a much more capable actor, and then also you have to just do a lot more with him. Make him, like we've talked about, like make him lean in to just being an asshole to women and then have to deal with those consequences.
Right. If you just swapped Archie with first Reggie, Ross Butler, so many things improve immediately.
Yeah.
Yes. Ross Butler would have been a way better Archie, because I think what goes along with leaning into being kind of a jerk is being able to sell comedic moments that make that character likable, which KJ Apa, from what we've seen, absolutely cannot do. He's not a comedic actor, and you need someone like that to play this Sterling Archer-esque Archie.
Yes. Oh my god, that's a good way of putting it. He is kind of presented as like all of the hottest shit, and he is not.
It could be really good if played for laughs because we have a more serious Jughead and Betty, and we could have, hey, like, Archie's a regular guy wrapped up and stuff. And yeah, like, from the bottom up, this show was cast poorly, with the exception of Lily Reinhart and Cole Sprouse in the main cast, who I think are way better than the rest of the people that were chosen.
Well, and I mean, I think Skeet Ulrich is great in that role. Yes. I think Matt Genomic is great in that role. Like, I think
there are a lot of side characters that are great too. Like we've talked about how great like Josie's actress is, how great Ross Butler is. There are some great peripheral characters, and then there are characters like we don't know what they're like because they're just never given the material. Like, we don't know how Kevin Keller's actor is as an actor because he maybe had 10 minutes of total acting time in all of the 22 episodes we saw.
Right, he was only given 1 or 2 lines an episode. I have no idea what he can do. I also think that's a great idea of how to fix Archie, because then there could actually be some tension with him and Betty. Like, I could understand why she would feel conflicted about Jughead versus Archie, at least theoretically, if Archie was way more of like a funny, down-to-earth type, and Jughead was kind of too serious and had a lot going on and had this like gang related, like he's like so intense, and I can see Archie being like, oh, but he's way more fun and he's more relaxed and that's easier. But what we have is there's no choice there. Like,
God, imagine an Archie who's the life of the party.
Yeah.
Such a different show.
It's a totally different show now.
It'd be a good counterpoint to Jughead, and then you have the classic dilemma. Instead of Archie trying to choose between Betty and Veronica, the show becomes about Betty choosing between the brooding bad boy type that we all love and the guy who's super cool and funny, which, like, funny to girls is like boobs to guys. So, as the saying goes from the scripture, Luke 16 verse 4. So that would make the show so much better. There are a number of things, and even on the Wikipedia page, they talk about how originally the showrunner wanted to do an Archie movie that was sort of an 80s inspired John Hughes style thing. Then they went in a TV show direction. Some executive wanted to make it a time travel thing and have Louis C.K. play a future Archie. So I think this whole concept got just wrecked out of the gates.
The only thing I know for sure coming out of this is I don't know why Archie Comics puts any faith in the showrunner, Roberto Aguirre Sacasa, but like, he needs to be out of those creative decision-making positions soon.
Absolutely. This is a tour de force of people not knowing what the heck they're doing, and the writing is constantly upsetting in several ways. But where do we go from here? Because honestly, and I've expressed this to you guys, I'm almost gun shy of some shows because I don't want to get into another Riverdale where we feel like we just can't take another step forward with this crap.
I think what we do is we take a break for a week or two and watch teen horror movies.
Yes.
Give ourselves a little refresher and then work on picking out our next show.
Do you perhaps have an idea for this first teen horror movie?
I do. 1996's The Craft, which none of us have seen. I hope I got that year right.
I believe you did, but I'm looking it up, and it stars Neve Campbell alongside Fairuza Balk, who was the lady from The Waterboy. It has Breckin Meyer in it, who appeared earlier on this podcast.
I've heard good things about him ever since I heard about him earlier in this episode.
And it has Skeet Ulrich. So
it does.
And it has Christine Taylor. So it's got some actual stars in it and people that we'll recognize, and we still get to spend time with our good old buddy Skeet.
It has Robin Tunney, who is Deb in Empire Records.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I did not recognize that name, but now that I'm looking at her IMDb page, I'm like, I know this person. Yeah. So this is less of an investment because it's one movie, 90 minutes, and we don't have to marry ourselves to an entire series right off the bat after we're just coming out of this really bad breakup with Riverdale.
It's not you, Riverdale, it's us. We just
hate
have
you.
too high of standards.
Yeah, it's us. We're just too good for you, and we feel like it's time to move on. So we have some options for TV shows that we've been discussing, just thinking about going old school, because when it comes to new TV right now with all the quarantine stuff, there's kind of a halt to production. So who knows when we're going to get new TV and new series, because we really want to jump into a new series and watch it as it goes, because that'd be super fun. There wouldn't be an audience that has a leg up on us, and there's no way we could get spoiled.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
I constantly had to avoid Riverdale spoilers while we were watching this show, which I did a lot. I would just get YouTube recommendations for videos on why Riverdale sucks, and I had to resist from clicking on them.
Yeah, I got a bunch of those too. My favorites were there were a couple videos that I got recommended that I actually watched, all the cringiest moments from Riverdale season 4. And it was funny because the person actually taking the time to all right, so the writing's crap, but here you can still see Madeline Petch doing a good job with the acting. I'm good on you for singling out that people are still doing good jobs despite the train wreck that is the writing room.
We tried to do that, and we pointed out when people did well. I'm gonna miss Madeleine Petch a lot, but that's just gonna take some time for me.
I hope she goes on to do other things.
I hope everyone goes on to do other things except Camila Mendez.
Yeah, I'm sorry. She's a beautiful woman. And good for her.
Yeah, she's in the top 15 best looking women on this show of Riverdale.
For sure. For sure.
I'm sorry, I'm just being so mean, but I had to vent. This show just got to a point where it became brutal to watch it, and not in a cool way like metal band brutal, just like Chinese water torture.
Yeah. I am glad we are done, and I guess we will be back next week with The Craft, and after that we will move on to a second movie, and then we will figure out a show from there. So until next time, thank you for listening to Gritty Reboot. Please leave us a review wherever you listen to podcasts, because it really helps us grow.
In the meantime, you can reach us on Twitter at GrittyRebootPod or by email at GrittyRebootPodcast@gmail.com. You can check out our website, GrittyRebootPodcast.com, for info about the show, past episodes, and upcoming news. We look forward to seeing you next time.